G'day, welcome to another edition of Detour Live, coming to you live every night, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I'm joined by the Oracle, Johnny Trevorrow. Johnny, mate, I'm getting so many people saying, who's the tip from Iffy tonight, because he's done it again. But last night, I don't know if you were all chips in on Roglic.
No, not all. No, I went for Adam, but I then threw near the end. I said, but you better put a bet onto Roglic, and people did.
Yeah, so you saved your ass. Now, one thing you haven't saved your ass with is your internet. It's been absolutely woeful this trip. In fact, we've had to call in on the services from Telstra, and I think they're going to send you a dongle, thanks to Sandy and the crew there. So as a result, I can't take any risks on this show, man. It's just too important. So I've got a bit of a backup plan, and that is Matty Keenan. So if your internet drops out, Keenan's ready to step in.
G'day, Matty. How are you, mate?
Good. My batteries are fully charged once again.
Well, he took over from the last Oracle, so he must have taken over from this one as well.
Oh, low blow.
Hey, I gotta say, I don't let your dingle dangle in the dirt, but I have bought a great expense.
At great expense, as soon as he goes to say it.
Isn't it? Well, I bought a new thingamajig, and it's going to transmogrify from my base in the house out to my studio.
Okay, well, you need to go online. You need to use your dongle, and you need to have a look at the YouTube clip with Ronnie Corbett when he recounts the old two Ronnie's sketch from the hardware store, and he goes to the fruit shop and he's having trouble with his blackberry and his apple's not working. It's on orange, and his wife says he's got a small dongle.
Don't bring K into this. That's not very fair. But anyway,
I've got to ask you, Matty, how is the fatigue going? Because I've cracked. I could not stay awake last night. I fell asleep, and it must have been your voice in the final, because I woke up to you going Roglic, and I literally jumped out of bed, and that was it. Finishing line.
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
What I'm struggling with is the training program that Graham Brown has got me on. I somehow been roped into doing this tour training challenge with Brownie, and I'm actually really enjoying it. And I'm going to bed each night nervous about the training program that I'm about to be doing. But in terms of fatigue and so on, with the tour, when you're commentating on it, there's so much adrenaline. And the big challenge is actually getting to sleep when I get home. I normally get home from the SBS studio around about 3:30. The day that Caleb won, Robbie and I were still sending each other text messages until about 4:15. And I'm turning the light off at 4:30 whilst I'm hearing the birds starting to chirp and they're waking up. So it's pretty hard to get a good night's sleep.
Obviously, the stage last night, Roglic was too strong in the end there. But is this cementing their justification for favouritism in this race, Keenan?
Yeah,
it
is.
Killer bees?
The killer wasps, if they strike as a bee, they're done for. I think it is cementing that position. I had them in a couple of weeks ago, even before the Dauphiné, with Roglic as the favourite to win. The one fear is he too good too soon, because he's been on great form for a long time. But as Cadel Evans so often said, you'd rather be trying to maintain form than chasing it at this time of year. Egan Bernal has spoken about he's just trying to ride conservatively, so he's good in the third week. But there's no question that Primož Roglic is the favourite, and he's got a stronger team around him than the Ineos team. My highlight from last night was actually one of Primož Roglic's teammates, and that was Wout van Aert. He was setting tempo on the front. This guy weighs only 80 kilos. He's a guy who won a sprint stage last year ahead of Viviani and Caleb Ewan. When he swung off, he had Kwiatkowski behind him, Castroviejo, two of the climbers for Ineos. They were relieved. They slowed down and they punched the clutch in when Wout van Aert swung off. He was phenomenal last night.
What was your take on the stage? Because there's a couple of riders I want to ask you about. Richie Porte finished in the pointy end of the finish, and also where's Esteban Chavez at, do you think? Because obviously Whitey said they're here to go for stages. At what point do you have to say, well, hang on, we need to conserve your energy, particularly in the last week, if you want to pinpoint a couple of those mountain stages?
Was that a question? I mean, it went on for that long, I forgot what you actually wanted to ask me. But I can't
even remember what I said.
I'll go with
the host can't remember the question he asked.
Oh, well, whatever. But I got to say, I thought it was a brilliant stage. a bit different to you, Matty. I was really, I'll never get his name right, Tadej Pogačar. He would have won the blew me away. I mean, the other Slovenian is only a kid. I mean, he rode his first Grand Tour last year when he was 20. He's only 21 now. He hasn't turned 22 until late in September. And he is the real deal. I wouldn't normally say a kid that age could be really on the podium. I think he'll make the podium. And yesterday, he was just sensational. I mean, when the real pressure came on, he was the only one who looked like...
The internet's going.
There you go.
It's gone again.
Now I remember what I said. I didn't ask you about Pogačar. What about Richie Porte?
Can I come back to Pogačar with you, John? Before the Vuelta last year, when he went to that Vuelta, SBS said, can you write an article about the Vuelta? Yeah, no preview, no problem. I said, here are the favourites, but the guy to watch, the one who's going to be the most exciting, remember the name Tadej Pogačar. And then he won 3 stages and he finished in 3rd place overall. And coming into this year's race, I love the confidence that he's riding with. Stage 1, he finished in 17th position. Caleb Ewan was 19th. Yeah, sure, Caleb had the problem with crashing and being 6 minutes behind at one point, but he was there amongst the sprinters, and he's a 21-year-old climber. This guy is fantastic. He is going to be somebody that we'll talk about for a long, long time to come. I love watching him race.
And he's in form. He finished second to Roglic in their Slovenia road title, and then beat him a few days later to take out the time trial title. So, yeah, he's. I think he's on the podium this year.
Yeah, I picked him as my smoky.
What about Richie Porte?
Well, I actually threw a text to you. I remember late into the stage saying, because you're my bookie, you put the money on for me, Dan. I said, put some money on Richie. He's a pretty good odds and he's a big chance. I'm glad you didn't do it, but yeah, he was very, very good.
Dan, put another one on Richie. Yeah, put your money on Richie, not mine.
Another one of those iffy messages that you look at and you're like, oh, yeah, you keep going.
No, Matty, we did make a deal for the tour that we're all in. So whatever bets either of us make, we're going halves. So that's
okay. There's a really good quote I liked from Richie after this. He said it wasn't really a climb.
Oh, yeah?
It wasn't steep enough. It was really fast. It was hard because it was really fast, but it wasn't really a climb. I think Richie looks really good, and I really want to see Richie win a stage in this year's tour.
I've got a question from the fans. Andrew Scales, he wants to know, should the tour have a mountain stage this early again in future editions? What do you think?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I love it. I mean, this course, everyone was whinging, probably a bit too hard. This is not the riders, this is the so-called experts. But this has been fantastic. We're day 4, coming to day 5, and we're all raving. We've stopped talking about the COVID-19. We're talking about the bike race because it is bloody fantastic.
Yeah, and you know, Jonesy, the Vuelta of Spain have been doing this for years, and that doesn't get the publicity of the tour, but how entertaining is that for a race?
Yeah, exactly. The more carnage, and in other editions of the tour, they've thrown in sort of cobble stages and that, but they're not obviously doing that this year. But whenever they do throw up those variables, it's awesome for the TV coverage for sure.
Yeah.
And what about I was saying Chavez? What if you were Matt White? What would you do, Keenan? Just keep rolling the dice until one of them cracks, or how would you play it?
I'd let Esteban ride his race, targeting the general classification for as long as possible. And even though they're talking about Adam just targeting to try and collect a stage win, I think he's well within striking distance of potentially getting a stint in the yellow jersey, and that would be a massive feat. It would be a great outcome for the team as well. So I don't think those two guys should even look at the idea of losing time so they can get up the road later to potentially win a stage whilst they're in this sort of condition. And that was still a pretty select group yesterday, even though Richie said it wasn't really a climb. It was only 5%. I'd be sticking with the way they're riding. They can still aim for stage victories from those groups, but maintain that high position in the overall classification.
Well, yeah, I agree. I was just saying...
I was going to say, who better to ask than Matt White himself? He joins us now. Whitey, we were just chatting about what to do with guys like Esteban Chavez. Do you let him keep bopping along on GC and maybe wait if he does crack, or what's the plan for a guy like that? Oh, whoops! Sorry,
lose
mate.
Time quick. Lose time quick would be the good one, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't come here to finish 11th. We want to win a stage, and there's going to be multiple opportunities for world-class climbers in this starting stage 8, mate. So I think getting off GC before then would be ideal.
We had a fan question before. They said, are you a fan of mountain stages early on in the tour in the first week? Do you think it's something they should continue to do in future editions?
Oh, I think variety's good. I think they've made an entertaining course, and I think the traditional 1 week of sprints every day, every second day can be changed around. I think as long as we have enough for everybody, I think a bit of change is good for the race.
You got a question, Iffy? You done any research for the show, mate?
I love you, Dan. I'm just very interested in what you just said before, Whitey, about Chavez putting the brakes on and getting that gap in. I thought you'd probably wait until they sort of cracked a little bit first, give them their opportunity, and then the minute they lose a little bit of time, okay, time's done, and then drop back.
Well, we've got a much harder climb tomorrow in the final. So we'll see how things go tomorrow.
Yep. You there, mate? I think we've got Iffy-itis with the internet again. Whitey's obviously on the bus at the moment, so when you go into these start towns, obviously the Wi-Fi and the cell coverage gets pretty clogged up. One thing I was going to throw to is they're doing a great job with the videos on Mitchelton-Scott, as always, and the backstage pass from yesterday was quite entertaining because not only Whitey has to worry about race tactics, but he's a manager of the riders themselves. And Chris Jensen is one that often leaves papers lying around. And this is what he had to deal with before the start yesterday.
Hey, Chris, the bus is leaving all stations to start area.
Hey! Thanks for coming, Chris.
I thought it was 20 past.
Glad you could make it.
That's fantastic. I hadn't seen that. That's brilliant. He seems like a fantastic guy, Chris.
He's an absolute ripper. And as I said, like Chris is one of those guys that, you never know when he's going to be on time. Like he often, brushes over the WhatsApp group because every day they send out like a schedule and they're pretty rigid with the times. It's much like a Kentucky tour. If you're not there, the bus will go. Well, it is for staff. I remember at the Vuelta one year, I came out the front ready to go on the bus and the bus had gone. And I remember ringing Steve-O and I said, Steve-O. And he goes, Dan, where are you, mate? I said, I'm at the hotel. And he goes, mate, we're half an hour down the road. And I was like, oh, no. What am I going to do here? I got a lift with the Vuelta doctor and jumped in and threw all my stuff in the back. And, geez, we ended up passing the bus, I don't know, 40 minutes later. Like they were probably doing 180 on the freeway. I was genuinely fearful for my life. And
lucky you were with the doctor.
Yeah, I remember the bus driver for Green Edge at the time, Gary, was driving. And then all of a sudden I come flying around the
Gary.
outside. Yeah, the Gary.
Corsica, stage 1, Gary.
Yeah. And they couldn't believe it. They didn't even realize that I wasn't on the bus. They just saw me hanging out of the doctor's car. So,
nice.
Yeah, we're still having a few little technical difficulties with Whitey. As I've said, going into the start towns, it gets a bit tricky. But back to
with Whitey, if I don't get the chance to ask, I'm really interested in their strategy with Adam Yates and potentially, aiming for a stint in the yellow jersey.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously today's a sprint stage, but tomorrow, as he said, I think there's a horse category climb and a Cat 1. So there's definitely going to be some more opportunities down the track. I think we've got him back on now. Whitey, can you hear us?
Yeah, man.
Whitey,
go for it, buddy.
What about Adam Yates, so close to the yellow jersey and trying to get a stint in the yellow? What's of more value to you as a team, a day or two in yellow or a stage win?
Was it? I didn't hear. Is that a day in yellow or a stage win? What was the question there, mate?
Yeah. What's of more value to the team? A day in the yellow jersey or a stage win?
Oh, look, I think I would classify them pretty evenly. Actually, you know, a stage, it's a lot of media attention. It's great achievement, but I'd rather have a stage win. I think.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's I'm not sure. It's interesting. I wonder what the the return on investment would be, and what the morale is in the team in terms of what gets bigger bang for your buck: the stint in the yellow jersey and no stage win versus a stage win and no yellow jersey.
You got us, Whitey?
Oh, I think one day in the jersey is different to a big stint. I think if you had a big stint in the yellow jersey, then that's definitely worth more than a stage win. But one day in the yellow or one stage win, I'd put them pretty even, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Interesting.
Whitey, when you had some technical difficulties, we showed a video from the backstage pass yesterday, and that was with Chris Jensen almost missing the start. How do you go coordinating guys like that? And you've got enough to worry about with the tactics, let alone guys setting their alarms in the morning before the race. Yeah, I think we're still having technical difficulties.
Guys,
you might have to abandon ship, Jonesy.
Yeah, I have one more crack. What happened with Jules Jensen before the start yesterday? Now, Houston, we have a problem. That's all right. We'll have to try with Whitey another time, I think. Anyway, it was good when we had him. Those little snippets. That was really interesting.
Dan, I was really interested in that response in terms of one day in yellow versus a stage win, and classifying them as even. But a longer stint in yellow, I think, is more value than a stage win or two. I think that yellow jersey brings a lot of attention to the team.
He had to really think about the answer. I don't know whether it was his poor.
Now, if he's got, geez, I have got my work cut out for me tonight. Whitey's going to have another crack.
Right.
How we going now, Whitey?
All
right. So Keenan's got to go. So thanks for your time, Keenan. You've got a Zoom call.
Thanks, Matty.
Now, Whitey, can you hear us now, mate?
Yes, I can now.
Perfect. All I was saying is what happened with Chris Jensen before the start yesterday. I watched the backstage and he almost missed the bus, mate.
Yeah, it was just a simple miscommunication of time. He thought we were leaving at 10 past 10. We were leaving 20 past 10. We're leaving at 10 past 10, mate. But the first and the last time.
Yeah, perfect. I said it. All right, so Whitey's gone again. But we've got a special guest. Geez, I've got my work cut out today, Iffy. I've got a special guest, and it's the chef from Mitchelton-Scott. He's a good friend of mine, and that is Nicki Strobel. Nicki, welcome to the detour, mate. Where in the world are you at the moment, buddy?
Right now in sunny Norway. As you can see, it's pretty nice up here today.
And you're going to be joining the team on Saturday. Are you excited to get back to the Tour de France?
Yeah, definitely. Although this year I'm not joining them for the Tour de France, so it's a bit different this year.
Oh, so where are you going on Saturday? What race are you going to?
Saturday I'm going to Italy for Tirreno. I'm doing the Italian calendar this year, so I'm doing Tirreno and then doing the Giro this year.
Ah, geez, the research for this show has been impeccable. We've had internet issues. I thought you were joining the boys at the tour. It's all happening, but you've done many Tour de France's, Nicki, and
yeah, I run a few Tour de France's, a few with you actually.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, you can cast your mind back to an incident in 2012, the first tour with Green Edge when you were the chef. And do you want to recount the story of the day you smashed up Brian Nygaard's car?
I didn't smash any car.
Yes, you did. You were backing Brian Nygaard's car out and you hit a pole.
We had an agreement then. The agreement was that I made you dessert every night, and you would never tell anyone.
So Nicki hit this pole, Iffy, and I saw it. I was the only guy, and I said to Nicki, listen, there's two ways we can play this, mate. I can dob you into Nygaard, he's going to be pretty filthy, or I keep it quiet, and you give me all the desserts and the first round of lamb shanks tonight as soon as the riders are finished, and that continues for the rest of the tour. So we shook on it, and then the team doctor, Manuel, borrowed that car and went to the airport, and a bee flew into his car. He sideswiped two cars on the freeway and totally wrote the car off. So that was bad luck for Nicki, but we had an agreement. So, yeah, he stuck to that. So, Nicki, what is it like with the food preparation for a race like the Tour de France? It's definitely evolved over the journey. It's a lot more calculated now with what the riders eat.
Yeah, I mean, the first few years, it was basically just, cook whatever the guys like. And yeah, we had a lot of steaks the first few years where we weren't that focused on, GC and stuff like that, compared to now where everything is really meticulous. We calculate all the stuff that the guys eat, and we look into each stage and what should we eat today compared to, what efforts do the guys need to put out.
And now it's, as you said, you're reading files and there's a lot more science that's going into how much fuel you need to give these guys back. That's obviously evolved quite a fair bit. Yeah,
definitely. Like, when we first started in 2012, I had no idea on, calorie needs for stage and how the different stages affected the calorie needs for the guys, where now we're looking at files every day and basically calculating how many calories each rider need for that specific day. So it's changed a lot, and it sort of taken my work from just being in the kitchen focusing on good food to being focused on good food and also being able to read those numbers and prepare food that match those numbers.
Now, Nicki, I've got a clip to show viewers just what sort of dishes you used to whip up. And this was when the team actually had the yellow jersey from stage 5 in 2013. So I'll just give guys a bit of an insight into what you used to whip up back in the day.
And now we're on to the hot stuff. And if I was Australian, I'm going to present it like chook, rice, spots, and veggies. But a bit more details about it. We have the chicken with a bit of onion powder, a bit of paprika. They're cooked on top of a bit of carrot, a bit of mushrooms, just everything in the oven, 180 degrees for 40 minutes. We have some brown rice, always brown rice at night. It's better with the fibers. We have the mashed potatoes, and it's made with no butter. So lay off the butter guts. And it's made with a bit of olive oil, a bit of water, a bit of salt. So it's still pretty tasty, but not as fat as normal. The last one is just grilled veggies. It's a bit of courgettes and some asparagus.
What do you reckon, Iffy? Making your mouth water?
I've just had dinner, but it looks very good, Nicki. How are you, mate? Good to see you, pal.
Yeah, good to see you, Iffy.
And the thing is, back then we used to try and give people, insights into what riders ate daily. So we were whipping out these videos every day. But fast forward to 2014, and I was sort of getting a bit sick of doing the backstages as well as Nicki's stuff. So I think you can detect in this video that Nicki's just had a bit of a gutful. This is from 2014.
Good evening and welcome to Taste of the Tour. Well, last year we did one every day, but this year Jonesy is getting pretty lazy. So this year we'll just do one on each rest day to make sure Jonesy can last through the whole tour. He had a rough month in Brazil and we don't want to run him out. So, well, tonight the dinner is a bit less than normal because we just had a rest day. The boys didn't do much other than just hang around talking to journalists. So tonight we have gazpacho, cold Spanish tomato soup, and then we have sauté chicken with a peanut sauce and some fresh fruits with yogurt cream for dessert. Follow me on Twitter. I post pictures almost every day, and follow me at. And yeah, in general, the last week of racing has been really hard for the boys, so we served a lot of carbs and tried to stay away from the fat. And just keep it pretty healthy, bit of veggies and pretty basic healthy food. So we don't want to get them that famous Australian butter gut.
You love the reference to the butter gut.
Well,
you're talking about Dan again, weren't you? You're referring to Dan all the time.
Guess who taught me that one? Basically, all the bad words I learned in English, I learned from Dan.
But you were good in the kitchen, Nicky. You used to let me cook at times, mate. We had some good times in the kitchen.
And then that ended one sad day in Belgium. You can ask one of our sports directors how his I can't remember before which race it was. Maybe it was before Flanders, but some of the staff had a rough night after Jonesy's cooking.
Yeah, 8 went down with food poisoning. This is before the pandemic, when everyone washes their hands all the time, you know. But
just before we get away from what you were talking, Jonesy, when you were talking to me earlier, you were explaining to me how now that Nicky actually looks at the minute data that a rider uses for the day and then tries to replace that individually with the riders at night. Is that the case, Nicky?
Yes. So every day when the riders get in, we get the numbers from, the Garmin units on their bikes. And that gives us a number of how many calories they burned that day on the stage. And then we try to replace everything. So our goal is to try and replace all the energy they spend on the bike. But some days it's not possible. So we have to, look at other days too and, do a bit extra some days just to fill up on the big days. To put it in perspective, on a big day, some of our riders will burn more calories on the bike than most people do in 2 days. And that's just like those 5 hours when they're on the bike.
And also, do you have to almost be like the food police? Because I know in previous years there's been certain riders, one rider who was addicted to Pringles, and you literally had to make sure that this rider did not have Pringles in his room or try and coerce soigneurs to feed him these Pringles?
I mean, it's definitely gotten better. Sometimes, you have to tell the boys that, there's better options than what they want to go for. But I mean, end of the day, sometimes you just want that tub of Pringles, but not every day.
And another thing people wouldn't realize is, as the chef, you have to use the facilities at hotels. So across France, when they're staying at hotels like, the Kyriads and these sort of ones, they don't like you in the kitchen, which adds more dramas and hoops you got to jump through, Nicky.
Yeah, I mean, chefs in general can be a bit stubborn and not really willing to let other people into their kitchens. So sometimes you have to really fight to get that spot in the kitchen and to be allowed to use the kitchen. We had cases where, I have to put on the special clothes that they're wearing in their restaurant because, they say it's because of hygiene reasons. I had to, work in the smallest back room in different kitchens where there was literally no space, but that was the space they were going to give me. So there's been some interesting ones. There's even been kitchens where you're running away from because it's just too filthy.
So Nicky, you're trying to tell me that you come across an arrogant chef in France, really?
A few times it happened, yeah. I mean, French people have sort of a reputation without offending anyone, and then chefs have sort of that same reputation. So it's definitely not a good mix. And yeah, you met some really stubborn chefs in France.
We're starting to get some questions in for you, Nicky. We've got one from Ryan McMillan. How is the risk managed when using hotel kitchens in this COVID age?
I mean, for this year, we rented out a food truck just because of the COVID threat. So this year we're separate in a food truck. So this year it's not really a big problem. I know other teams are using the kitchen, and it's actually working out pretty well because the hotels and everything are already set up for all the COVID things. So, everyone is wearing a mask. There's good space in between people and stuff like that.
One of the teams that had the most impressive setup when it came to food preparation would have had to have been Team Sky when they had that 3-story kitchen truck. Was that the envy of all the teams, Nicki?
No, not really. Not really.
Really?
No, I mean, it looks really fancy, and it looks good that you're like, oh, we're Team Sky, we're the biggest team, we got the biggest, best things and stuff like that. But it's good when you have the budget for it. But any gains you get from spending that much money is minute.
We've got another question, and it's from Sally. She says, if there are several teams staying at the same hotel, do they all have their own chefs?
Yes, every team bring their own chef. So especially when we're staying at bigger hotels, we can be tried to be up to like 7 chefs from different teams in kitchens, which makes it a bit crowded at times. But most of the chefs from the teams are really good at working together and understanding that we're sort of in this together. When you're doing the Tour de France, all the staff and everyone is always trying to help each other out because everyone is in it together. And if you need help today, then yesterday you helped that guy who's actually willing to help you today. So everyone is helping each other out, and it's good that way, I think.
Nicki, I remember you saying to me last year that what you loved about the Giro, like in France, you have to be in the kitchen and doing everything. But the Giro, you felt the food coming from the kitchens was good enough. You didn't have to do too much.
Well, the Giro, it's just a whole different thing with the food in the Giro. And I think it's just because of the Italian mentality towards foods where, it's a very proud mentality about food, and they take pride in everything they do in the kitchen. So for the Giro, actually for the first 5 years, we didn't bring a chef just because the food was really good there, and we didn't have those very specific nutrition requirements. So it was pretty easy to just use the food from the kitchens. The food is still really good in Italy, but now we just have some other things that we need to think about that the hotels are not always willing to work around.
One of the one of the big concerns back in the day. Remember when there was issues of meat contamination and all that sort of stuff? Was that a big fear a few years ago with you've got riders and they could get food poisoning? Was that a big concern and one of the main reasons why teams wanted their own chef?
The whole thing with food poisoning, the chance is always there. And you've seen some pretty bad cases where whole teams have been wiped out from a food poisoning at a hotel. So it's definitely to try and eliminate that risk. And the thing with contaminated meats, come on. If you get the meats here from most of the racing we do is in Europe, they're not allowed to use clenbuterol. So, if you get contaminated meats, it's probably your own fault.
Well, you've got to check to find out exactly what meat you're having. Because remember when I was living in Girona and I bought that leg of roast and I ate it with Andy Guerin's, and then we used the leftovers to make a shepherd's pie, and I went back to get another one, and I said to the guy, I'll have that leg of beef there, and he just laughed at me, and then he pointed at the logo, and it was a horse's head. He goes, we only sell horse here, mate. I'm like, oh, yeah, right. So it was tender, a bit gamey, but I've got a question from Stuart McIntosh, and it says, are there many vegans or vegetarians in the pro ranks, and how does that go for them?
There's not many vegans, vegetarians. We had one on our team at one point. There is a few, but it's not many. It's going okay for them. The big difference from being a vegetarian as a pro bike rider compared to a normal person is that a pro bike rider eats 3 times the amount of food that you would eat on a normal day. So getting vitamins and minerals and stuff like that is less of a concern for them. So it's working out for them okay. You know, there's still some things that they have to think about and take care of, but in general it's not a problem. We don't see any difference in performance or anything like that, so I can't say it's a problem at all.
Now, if he rides his bike, what sort of food advice can you give to John to get maximum performance? What are some of the key things you see cyclists nowadays, even recreational cyclists, doing wrong, and how can you rectify that?
First of all, I would have to say, stop spending money on carbon bottle cages and stuff like that. Saving 50 grams on the bike, it's way cheaper to eat a bit less and eat a bit more healthy. That would be the first big advice. Those money you spend on that carbon bottle cage, use it on high quality foods. That will make you faster than those. I don't know how many grams you save, but in general for recreational cyclists, it's about eating a balanced diet throughout the day, and then before you do your ride, if you have a big ride, a Sunday ride where you go out for 3 hours and stuff like that, make sure to have a good hearty breakfast, bit of protein, some oats, something that will keep you full for long, and make sure when you get back that you actually refuel. That's one of the big mistakes that recreational cyclists do is they get home from a bike ride and they don't refuel properly, and then they just end up eating too much later in the day because they didn't refuel straight after the bike. So I would say probably biggest thing to improve on as a recreational cyclist is that recovery meal after your bike ride. So within the first hour after getting back, making sure you get a good meal of carbs and a bit of protein.
And what's an example, just quickly, of the best meal to have when you first get back from a ride? What would you be suggesting?
Well, again, different. Adam Yates, who's doing Tour de France right now, his recovery meal is Haribo candies, a Powerade, and a protein shake. But that's because he has some different requirements. But for a normal person, a good serving of pasta or rice with a bit of lean protein, so some chicken or some tuna. If you're a vegetarian, some black beans or something like that, and you're set.
All right. We've got another question from Ryan McMillan. He's on fire. Are the pro riders totally reliant on their meals, or is their diet balanced with supplements as well?
From a macronutrient point, so that's your proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. That's all coming from foods and obviously energy drinks on the bike or energy gels on the bike. For vitamins and minerals and stuff like that, most of the riders take just a simple multivitamin tab just to be sure that everything is covered. But in general, they should be covered from all the food they eat. But that's it. Like they supplement with one multivitamin and that's it. So it's really simple stuff. It's not like they have a regimen of 20 different pills that they have to take. A multivitamin and a few caffeine tabs or something like that. That's it basically.
Got any final questions, Iffy, for the Super Chef?
Well, Nicki, I have been back on the bike and my weight doesn't change. I'm 71 kilos all the time lately, so I'm very lucky. I'm going out most days. I have a banana for breakfast. That's it. And then when I come back, I have a good normal lunch, whatever my wife has on the table, actually. But my weight is permanently 71 kilos.
So that's not a question, you're just bragging.
No,
Yes.
That's just, I was going to say, that's just telling us what your weight is.
Thanks for that amazing insight, John. We've got another question. Philip Thorpe, he says, what do you do with riders who get an upset stomach? Too many goos, etc. Can you get like that? I think that's too, like gels and stuff.
Yeah, gels. Definitely gels and stuff like that can upset your stomach a bit, and especially when you're doing a 3-week race, your gut is just under a lot of pressure because you have to eat so many carbs all the time. I mean, like yesterday when we did Adam Yates's numbers, he was eating 18 grams of carbs per kilo. So people at home can try and calculate how many grams of carbs they would have to eat just to match his numbers. But, you know, with riders that have a upset stomach, we're trying to keep it really simple. So, you know, white rice, a bit of omelette or chicken, and that's it. You know, keep it as simple as possible to try and give the gut a bit of rest, and hopefully they can recover.
I can remember a tour one year, Albacini actually put on a lot of weight because he had a problem with his liver or whatever. So how did you fix that through food?
Well, it's I mean, you know, not to put food down or anything like that. You know, food can do a lot of fantastic things, but for any, you know, inflammations and stuff like that, you know, medicaments, it's just a whole different world. But with Alba, we I can't even remember because this was his own, you know, he had his own theory about it, but I think we served him really bitter stuff. So I was basically out, you know, juicing grapefruits, finding whatever bitter fruits I could find. And he said it helped him. Not sure if it was in the mind or if it actually helped him.
And there was a big craze for the roasted garlics. Remember that? We were the smelliest team in the bunch. I remember Damien Housen.
Yeah, Giro 2016, I think it was, where people were starting to get a bit sick and they were just smashing the garlics. At one point, you know, a rider from a different team came up to me and he was like, "What are you feeding these guys? Because they stink of garlic every day." And we're sitting on their wheel. Like, you have to remember, at this point we were in the pink jersey in the Giro, so they were all sitting on the wheels of Damien Housen and Svein Toft, and they were just sweating out garlic.
Are they still obsessed with garlic, or they stopped it?
A few riders, you know, once in a while when I do, you know, whole roasted garlics, a few of the riders still smash them. I would say the biggest fan of those are still Whitey. And the mechanics are hating it when they see that there's roasted garlic for dinner, because they know the next day in the car it's going to be a long day.
Yeah. And before we let you go, who was the fussiest rider that you ever had to deal with? Because I know you didn't just work with Orica Green Edge, you worked with Leopard Trek back in the day.
Yeah.
Who was the hardest rider? Who used to complain the most?
I think you already know the answer to this one. It would have to be Fabian Cancellara.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like you never could win with him. You know, if you cooked pasta, it was the wrong type of pasta. If you made, you know, a cold pasta salad, it had to be warm. If you made it warm, then he preferred cold that day. You know, you just couldn't win with him. Super nice guy, but, you know, it was one of those things. He always had to find something to complain about.
Super nice guy, but a pain in the ass at the same time. There's plenty of those around, mate. Well, it's been fascinating. You got anything to add, Iffy, or you're good, mate? You want to brag again? Tell us another story.
I'll just say one thing, Nicki. Great to speak to you as always. It's interesting to watch when you're preparing the riders' food bags and what they're eating. It hasn't changed that much since my day when I raced over there in the late 70s, early 80s.
Hey, hang on. It hasn't changed that much, mate. You were smoking on the start line at the Giro.
Yeah,
I think it has evolved.
I'm not talking about me. I'm just talking about the actual food that the riders ate and took with them in the race. Now, the rice cakes and all of those things. Okay, we didn't have the fancy gels and some of the micro adjusting that they're doing now, but the basic food hasn't changed that much.
No, it hasn't changed that much. You're absolutely right. You know, it's still very, very carb based, and, you know, a lot of rice, a lot of pasta. Stuff like that. There was a period where, you know, the whole high fat craze came in for a bit, but luckily we sort of over that now. But in general, no, it hasn't changed much. The biggest change would be in the gels and the energy drinks. But it's hard to find a supplement for pasta or rice that's better.
Yeah, exactly. All right, fascinating, Nicki. Thanks for coming on, mate. Enjoy the Torino and Italy where you're going. And obviously, the kitchens will be a lot more receptive to you over there. And good luck for the rest of the season. We'll probably touch base again and get some more recipes from you, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good on you, Nicki.
Bye.
Yeah, he's a legend, Nicki Strobel. He came out to Australia. He used to do some study and work with the AIS. And I remember he came out and stayed with us in Sale, showed him country town. And the first night I put him to work, put him on the tools, had him making dinners and desserts. And I remember Mum saying, hey, look, he's a guest in our house. I said, nah, he's going to be cooking tonight. And the dinner was awesome. He makes this chocolate cake that it's like 4 ingredients. It was brilliant. So, but yeah, interesting insights there for sure.
Now, you also spoke with a really good friend of ours today who is a bit of a legend with the Mitchelton-Scott team. Yeah,
we had a chat with Joachim Schoonaker, who's a soigneur. I thought just before we get to that, we should do a shout out again to our sponsors, Iffy. So that's Lexus of Blackburn and that famous photo that you love putting in with you and Jerry, Mitchelton Wines. You want to give them a plug, Johnny?
Well, you're flicking through them and I can't say anything. Mitchelton Wines, of course I want to give them the plug. That's a beautiful Mitchelton Hotel in Nagambie, which is part of the Mitchelton Winery, right on the Goulburn River. Soon as
your internet's cut out again. Just as you're pumping up Mitchelton, it cuts out.
The hotel at Mitchelton, at Nagambie, on the Goulburn River is sensational. Get there when you can.
And let's go, motorhomes.
Let's go, motorhomes. Yes, the way to see Australia. They've got a special going at the moment. Book 60 days in advance. Get 5% discount. Just jump online. It's the way to go.
We're going to have a quick word from Bike Exchange, and then when we come back, we're going to have a chat with Joachim Schoonaker, the soigneur from Mitchelton-Scott.
We are the world's #1 bike marketplace with over 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Okay, as we mentioned, we caught up with Joachim. Here's part 1 of the interview where we're talking about his role at the Tour de France this year. Now, this is one staff member that is actually at the Tour. I did get this right. So. All right, we're joined now by Mitchelton-Scott soigneur, probably one of the most famous soigneurs in the pro peloton, I reckon, because he loves a chat, loves an interview, and loves publicity. Joachim Schoonaker, how are you, buddy?
Good, real good. Another day in the life of the Tour. Hopefully today we have success with somebody, and and hopefully we stay healthy. That's the most important now, because with all the pandemic things going on, it's strange. Less people on the road. The starts are basically empty. Finish lines are empty. Yeah. It's a big difference.
Yeah, well, if he's got some backstory on you, Joachim, you're not just a soigneur. You actually, at one point, were a budding young cycling talent. Isn't that right,
Yep.
Iffy?
Oh, Yoki, yes. Yeah, well, exactly. It's a famous cycling family you come from, Yoki. Matter of fact, I think I might have been raced with your father. That's how old I am. But and your brother was a pro. But you were really good. I remember last year, because you were very, very modest about all of this, Yoki. And I remember last year at the Tour, you were in deep conversation with Bradley Wiggins.
Yep.
And I wandered over, and because I know Bradley himself knows since he was a baby, and he started raving about the great rivalry he had with you.
Yeah, sorry, Joachim.
So
John's internet cuts in and out.
John, your internet is not working. You need to pay for it, eh?
He needs a booster.
Problem.
We've reached out to Telstra. They're sending him a dongle. So, but I think he's trying to say, Bradley Wiggins, and you're having a good chat with him. So,
I used to race. He's my age, and I raced with him as a 16, 17, 18 years old. So we raced against each other in Tour of Ireland. I took the green sprinter's jersey off his shoulders, and he's still pretty dark about that.
Now, Joachim, how has the COVID restrictions affected your work? Because it's a pretty full-on job. Every day you've got to make hundreds of bottles and get feed bags ready. Do you want to explain to the viewers and listeners, what goes into your job and how this year's different more than ever?
Well, the work is actually completely the same. We still need to make the same amount of bottles of the same amount of feed bags, the musettes as we call them. But it's just we have to wear a mask now everywhere. This is the only difference it is. The hygiene of hand sanitizer and washing our hands we had already. In the past, we've always looked out for that to make it good. But now it's with a mask in the car, out the car. It's the new normal.
What about Yoki? What about at the feed zones? Are all the teams right together like they used to be, or are you further spread out?
We're all together now in the feed zones, and it's the first year that there's no crowd allowed in the feed zones, which we were hoping that it was going to happen already for years. Because sometimes in the feed zones there were more people that the riders could not see us, and it was just a mess. And now it's like only for staff who needs to get feedbacks out, and it's actually an improvement.
Now, what goes into the feedback? I know every year when we used to do the backstages, we do videos on it and so forth. But for people that don't know, Joachim, what are the riders eating out on the road?
So we have the rice cakes that we prepare ourselves. Normally, depends on the length of the stage. It's about 1 or 2 rice cakes. Then we have the nutrition sponsor SIS, who got some bars and gels, and then of course a bottle with water for on the bike and a bottle with carbo for on the bike.
And you're missing Johnny on the water points this year.
Oh, we miss Johnny a lot. We're missing our team mascot. Like the tour is not the same without Johnny. The only positive thing is he will not crash the car this year that he's driving.
Did you crash the car if he?
Normally it always comes back full of scratches and damage, and so this year we don't have this. It's not his fault.
No.
The parking spaces in France are just too small.
Yeah, you're as bad as Daniel. You just set me up all the time, Yoki. But anyway, that's fine.
That was the first part of the grab with Joachim. I couldn't help but notice, is that your personal nickname for him? You call him Yoki? Or is that what you thought his name was?
No, I've always called him Yoki. Joachim is his name. I know his name.
Yeah.
I call him Yoki.
Sounds like Gnocchi, the pasta. Anyway, I thought, why not do the Detour DeLorean segment with Joachim, who had many classic moments over the years. So this is part 2 of our chat with Joachim. Now, one thing we love doing on the show, Joachim, is we love going back in time to classic moments in a segment we like to call the Detour DeLorean.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Now, one thing we used to like doing out on the road back in 2012 was we used to love playing a game with the police. So I want to show you a quick little video to jog your memory of what we used to get up to.
And we tried it out. And roughly, if you wave to the cops, 1 out of 6 waves back. So try it again. No, didn't want to wave back, so...
That didn't even look.
2 at once. That never happened. That.
You still playing the waving to the cop game?
Yeah. It didn't change. It's still almost no cops wave back. We still do that joke.
With less crowds, they wouldn't really need to have them on every corner now. There wouldn't be that many out on the road.
Yeah, it's still the same amount of police officers on the road, but they're still not waving back. I think they don't get it.
I think that must be you, because I've found on the Tour de France, I was always being waved at by the cops, normally with a closed fist, but I was still waving.
Now, one other classic moment, Joachim, we were talking about earlier was in 2015 when we had an unexpected visitor come into our room.
People who are on the Tour de France, keep your windows closed at night time. And Joachim, we had a little bit of an incident last night at the hotel. Can you tell us what happened there, mate?
Yeah, I was asleep and suddenly Dan woke me up screaming. I thought it was
screaming or squealing?
I thought something worse, like real bad happened. But it was a little bat who was flying into the room.
Is it a bat or a bird? It's a bat, for sure. Batman.
I'm Batman.
Yeah, he was almost crying. And then I had to play tennis with my pillow to get it out.
From the front. Shit! Is it it? Let's go. Shut up!
Now, surely that has never happened again on the tour, Joachim.
No. That was so funny. And
I did squeal.
Yeah, maybe we were the trendsetters for the COVID. Maybe it came from there.
Fantastic grab with Joachim. We did have one last little bit where he went into the truck or whatever, but geez, looking at the time, I think we've gone probably long enough, and people are probably wanting your stage predictions. So going through stage 5, it looks like it's going to be a sprint. Are you going to tip anyone other than who I'm expecting you to? Mr. Ewan?
No, I'll go with him, but the Smokey will be not Smokey, Sam Bennett, who did everything right the other day. I mean, he sprinted beautifully, except for the pocket rocket who just came from nowhere and beat him. So I've got a soft spot for Sam, going for his first stage win, but not soft enough to back him against the flying Caleb Ewan.
It'd be fantastic if Caleb could get another stage win, that's for sure. As we always say at the end of the show, to get behind it, share the word, facebook.com/Detour Pod, and on YouTube, search the Detour Podcast, and tell your friends, subscribe, get involved, ask some questions, and hopefully tomorrow that dongle arrives, mate, and your internet's cherry ripe, ready to go.
Okay, well, what we'll do tomorrow, because in my story in the world-famous Geelong Advertiser today, I picked the top dozen riders who are my picks before the start, and I've rated them as to where they are now and where I think they'll finish. So I don't think anything will change on the stage tomorrow. So we'll go through them tomorrow night.
Okay, looking forward to it. And as we said, we're live 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time every night for this year's Tour de France, and hopefully we can stay up for the whole stage and not fall asleep, Johnny.
Yes, and hopefully my new dongle arrives, so we won't have the fans waiting around for me tomorrow night.
All right, we'll see you all again tomorrow night.